morning. I'll know if I'm going too long because I'll see people filtering downstairs throughout the day. So thank you for inviting me to kick this off. I have just about 8 or 10 slides to guide us through the little 15-minute introduction here and tell you a little bit about why I advocate for and believe in articulation and especially dual enrollment I'm going to focus on. And so if you want to see what I'm going to tell you about a little bit, got to make sure it popped up there. I'll just give a quick definition. I know that one of the things I learned, the term dual enrollment is not in education code. So there are different definitions all over the state, I think, on what it really means. Why offer dual and concurrent enrollment options? I'm going to touch on one of our kind of big goals we've developed at Shasta. And then how does this relate to our mission of access, equity, and success? And then what kind of risks are out there as well as rewards for working on this effort. So my definition up here is trying to differentiate a little bit between concurrent enrollment. The way I understand it and like to explain it is that concurrent enrollment is taking high school students through the special admit provision and having them take college classes, traditionally, usually on the college campus, after school, in the evenings, what have you. Dual enrollment is kind of a special category of concurrent enrollment. So think of it as high school students taking a class during the regular high school day in their high school class, and it simultaneously counts both for high school graduation and college credit. So dual, that's where the dual comes from. So that's the most simple way I can think of explaining it. And then the big question is why? Why do this? There are some who believe in it and some who think there are problems or potential problems with it. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what we've experienced at Shasta College. So at the college, we're trying to help improve our college-going culture in our region. I don't know how many of you in the North State have noticed sometimes there's a lack of a college-going culture. Wasted senior year, these sorts of things you hear about, students not completing an A through G. How many of you have heard, I'm just going to go to the local community college? And we'd like to get rid of that word just. And I'm excited to go to the local community college to get my start. So we think dual enrollment is one way to maybe help with that. Our big audacious goal is we'd like to see 50% of high school graduates have an average of 1 full-time college semester head start through concurrent and dual enrollment. Head start towards a pathway to CTE or a transfer degree. So that's kind of our goal we've set. We're not necessarily all about, like some states, trying to get a full associate's degree before they graduate high school. Perhaps for a few advanced students that would be possible, but our goal is to get them a head start, to help them see what they can do, and there are many benefits to that goal. One of the things we did, and maybe we were a little late to the game in retrospect, but what we got our board to do was waive fees for concurrently enrolled students for special admits. It's about 2.5 years ago. And some of the colleges here, how many of the colleges have done that? Lassen, others, yeah. So it's a great vehicle to encourage concurrent enrollment and dual enrollment. So you can see from the numbers up there that after we did that, we had maybe 140 or so concurrent students enrolling in 2012. It's jumped up to 594 this last fall. So we're getting a lot of students doing the traditional, come do concurrent enrollment, come to the college, take a class after your high school day, those sorts of things. But the bullet below that, we started our dual enrollment really, we had some beta tests, but then we started strong in 12-13. We had 857 dual enrolled students. It's jumped to 1,049 in 13-14. And then this past fall, it's close to 500, and usually we have higher in the spring than the fall. So we've been expanding that program. A little later, maybe in the panel, they'll explain how we were able to structure it through our strong partnerships with our local high schools so that we could collect apportionment for eligible students, as well as the high schools still collecting their ADA. I forgot the title. So that's the access piece. Okay. So with the mission, what about equity? I think one of the, I wish I could say we planned on this idea, but one of the ideas that we've come across is that this could be a key in helping close the gaps that we've identified in our equity plan. All of the colleges have been given extra money from the state to focus on examining how various groups are performing in relation to others, and there's gaps out there, gaps in minority, in socioeconomic, veterans, etc. So how can we help close those gaps so students are participating and completing and being successful at similar rates? What we found through looking at our last year or so is that our dual and concurrent enrollment students, our high school students getting a head start, are a little more diverse. For us, there's about 1.5% more Hispanic students than the percentage of our whole student body. We have at Shasta College, maybe about 42% of our students are male, even though our population we serve is about 50-50. So we found that we're about 4% higher than that male participation rates in dual enrollment courses and concurrent enrollment. And then about a 1% bump in the people who are now checking 2 or more races in their profile. So there's kind of this built-in, better capturing of some of our key equity gap students groups through dual enrollment. So we're excited about seeing how this might play a role in helping close the success gaps. And why? Well, I was a little bit blown away until I thought about it by this percentage, but our dual enrolled students, so in the high school, 97.7% to 99.3% course retention, they complete the course. And then if you look below that, statewide is the blue around 85-86%, and Shasta College as a whole is around 87%, maybe 88%. So these students are not only more diverse, but they're completing the courses. And that's a pretty, you don't usually see that big a difference in things, but why do you think this is? What's the main reason? My take on it, mandatory attendance in high school, right? So at the colleges, we don't kind of get the truancy officers after them, as far as I know. Maybe we could. We could look into that. But with the high schools, you know, they're expected to be there, and so if they're there, they tend to finish. But not only do they finish, but they finish at much more successful rates. So again, for our last 3 semesters, we looked at 93%, 95%, almost 90% compared to a statewide success rate of around 70%, and the college, Shasta College, 71.5%. So they're completing and they're being successful, all good things. Now, some of the risks. These are some I came up with in various conversations. I put at the top legislation. There are a lot of tricky things. You have to make sure you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's if you want to try to collect apportionment for the eligible students, as well as have the ADA go to the high schools. We did submit an innovation award at the college. Those are all, I don't know if you're familiar with the innovation award for the community college, CSUs and UC. Our focus was on our early start efforts, including dual enrollment. And one of my colleagues, who shall remain unnamed unless she raises her hand right back there, Meredith, wrote this sentence, and I found it to be an unhappy sentence being from California, but I agreed with it. Unlike more progressive states, such as North Carolina, Texas, and Indiana, is that becoming more progressive? California does not encourage dual enrollment through its policies, and in some cases actively discourages the practice. So the reason I read that and agree with it is many of the other states have really pursued this as an avenue to increase success for students and actively change their laws to encourage and strongly improve the opportunity. And California is kind of a little behind, and usually we're more on the leading edge of things, I think. So that's a commentary there, but there is another law proposed this year. We just got some information this week to try to ease some of the difficulties, and so we're hopeful that will help, but it also could backfire. They could end up adding more restrictions that were unexpected along with the easing. So we have to be cognizant of that risk. The second risk I put up is the rigor. We have to make sure that the coursework is equal to other classes that we offer at our colleges. Third bullet I put is CSU and UC. We have to make sure our relationships remain strong with them because that's where most of our students are transferring, right? Individual student success. So I think you noticed that there was a little drop in that chart from around 95% to around 90% in course success. So we want to try to make sure we help the students and make sure they're successful because there's a high risk and high reward for them. And then I just put down potential negotiation issues. You got the different unions at the different tables, and we have to make sure that we work with them. And just a little bit of how we at Shasta College mitigated these risks. We want to support the good legislation. We just have to track, advocate as it comes through. For rigor, that's a very, very important thing. High school faculty at Shasta College have to get interviewed, have the minimum quals, be an adjunct to be able to do the dual enrollment in the high school. By the way, that helps with number 5 because it's all high school teachers teaching the high school students as adjuncts of the college simultaneously, and so you're not taking away work from the high school by bringing in faculty from the college into the high school, right? CSU, this is a little nebulous, but I believe we need to kind of get them involved in the conversation appropriately. What I fear happening is that they'll try to get some sort of legislation that delineates dual enrollment type approaches on a transcript separately from regular non-dual enrolled credit, and we want the rigor to be the same. We want it to be transferable just like any other college credit. Individual student success, we need stronger advising, I think, make sure they know about the drop dates. The high risk, unlike an AP class where they either get a 2, 3, 4, 5 on the test at the end and then maybe they get transfer credit, it's a grade on your transcript. So it looks just like any other college class on our transcript. It's a grade. You don't want the students getting D's and F's. So we want to make sure that they're knowing about the drop deadlines and these sorts of things. And then, and that's also reaching out to the teachers to make sure they know as well and are reminding them. And then potential negotiation issues, our approach that you'll hear more about today and that I talked a little bit about seems to be working where we're having good cooperation. Our faculty are involved in the approvals and which courses are going to be done where, and the faculty approvals for the adjunct, all those sorts of things. So that's a little bit about what's happening at Shasta College and setting the stage for today. Again, I focused on dual enrollment because that's been our most recent effort at the college. And I'm very excited to see this number of people from our region. I really believe this is one of the things that could change the success rates in college for many, many, many of our citizens of our region. So I'm glad to see you here, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.